Welcome to Dub Life Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, folks, today's episode is going to be a great one. We've got two absolute legends on the podcast today, Chuck and Pat Vosburgh. You might know Chuck from the real estate world. This guy is a machine. He knows the market inside and out, makes all kinds of cool videos and content. But what you might not know is he's also a ridiculously talented photographer and was a photography instructor. And Pat, well, this one here is a force. She's a visionary. She's a creative speaker. She sees the world differently. And what's cool about her is she makes you see it differently too. Together, they're not just a power couple. I feel like they're a whole damn movement. And today, we're talking dubs. We're talking real estate, art, relationships, business, spirituality. We're going to get into all of it. It's about to get real, so please welcome Chuck and Pat Vosburgh to the podcast.
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
What's up,
We're doing
guys?
great.
Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. I've been eager and waiting to get you guys on. I can't wait to talk to you guys today. It's going to be awesome. Before we dive in, I do have just a couple of quick mentions for my sponsors. First up, Volksmania magazine, the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. In my opinion, if you're a U.S. customer, use DubLife10 at checkout. That's DUBLIFE, the number 10 at checkout for 10% off your subscription. Also, this episode is sponsored by Salty Dub, VW events and swag. Also, to shout out, there's a new group on Facebook called Salty Dubbers. Salty Dubbers is a nationwide gang of air-cooled addicts, classic VW dreamers, and beachside cruisers. Whether you're rolling a slam bug, a classic Ghia, or a sun-faded bus, guess what? You're one of us now. So this group is your digital hangout for sharing builds, breakdowns, show shots, salty stories. We're here for the dub lifestyle and everything that comes with them, whether it's sun, surf, sand, or just stories. You can check these guys out at saltydub.com to learn more. All right, guys, back to you. Pat, let's talk dubs. Let's jump right into it. I know you probably remember seeing this 71-ish squareback back in the newspaper back in the day. What made you decide back then this is the one?
Well, I guess I needed a car. And back then, it was a squareback. And I just looked at it. It was a light blue. And I just loved it. It was great. It was very nostalgic. But nostalgic, for even back then, maybe not everybody was buying a Volkswagen. It certainly is not what it looked like today, with Volkswagens. But I adored it. I thought it was great. The only thing was it didn't really make left turns very well or U-turns. And I should have kept it, but I did not. And I ended up getting rid of it because of that. It was kind of dangerous.
Now, was this a mechanical issue or is this just a design thing?
I'm not sure. I think it was mechanical. So, for me, it was like,
It turned right okay, though?
It turned right okay.
Maybe you should have sold it to UPS.
That's right. I forgot about them.
Turns only. They're funny.
That's
like
right. Yeah.
So, probably took you a little bit of time to get adjusted to it. But so, Chuck, your intro into VWs was through your best friend's 68 Beetle in high school, right?
Yeah, my buddy Dave in high school bought a 68 Bug, and I had a 71 Corolla, which was just as slow. And we used to work on those things together. We're, always doing something with it, tinkering. He built a whole new engine for that VW in his bedroom.
Oh, cool.
And that was really my introduction to Volkswagens, is working with my buddy Dave on his car.
Do you remember the first time that you actually got to work on a VW motor or even a VW in general?
That was back then in high school. I think we were probably second year of high school, where it would have been on his car.
What was like the top takeaway from like maybe a learning moment back then as a teenager, working on a car, working on a motor? What did it teach you?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was the simplicity of it. that's so impressive. That I think that's part of the genius of the design of a Volkswagen.
Right.
Is it's so simple. It doesn't have anything it doesn't need. And also, just as an interesting observation, I don't think there's any other car ever invented that can still run with so many things wrong with it.
It's like the lawnmower that just won't quit.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's funny. That's awesome though. How would you describe your VW journey starting from, again, being a teen, it just being kind of just cars back then to it now being a lifestyle?
Well, the VW thing, it kind of disappeared from my life for a long time. I've always loved them, always wanted one, but there's always life getting in the way, life getting in the way. And then when Pat and I got together, we started thinking about Volkswagens together. And we had other vintage cars in the past, and most recently a 1956 Dodge truck. And we sold that, bought the Karmann Ghia, and I know you're going to want to know about that later, so I'll save that story for a little later.
It's actually coming. It's coming now. So
Oh,
let's switch it over to Pat. Let's hear it from her side. So you got a Karmann Ghia for your 60th birthday, right?
I did, yes.
Tell me, how spontaneous was this purchase really?
It was very spontaneous. So what happened was a friend of ours posted a real ratty looking Karmann Ghia online, and it was down in Bradenton at a supermarket area. Like they would just put it in the parking lot. So we went and looked at it, and it was so, oh my gosh, no. It needed way too much work. And so we left.
never get it done.
No, we never get it done. I'm not into real big projects. So we left there and we went to a Starbucks and was sitting around, and Chuck's scrolling through his phone and he's like, but what about this one? And it was the orange Karmann Ghia.
Yeah, because I was thinking, okay, so this one, it was pretty rough. I was thinking, I wonder what a nice one would cost. Maybe we could just buy one that's nice.
Yeah.
So I'm scrolling and found a nice orange one. And as you know, that's the official color for our business. And I was like, hey, look at this. And she's like, oh.
Let's go.
and
So it was over in Orlando.
It was in Orlando.
And we drove over.
Yeah, the following day.
The following day, that's right.
Bought it.
I negotiated extremely heavy. I'm a very good negotiator.
That's
Tell
good.
them
You
why.
probably make a fantastic agent then.
Oh, she's tough. She's from New York City.
Hey, I saw it. Brooklyn, baby. Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
I can relate to that because my whole entire background and family is Brooklyn Heights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to go, I'd say not that frequently, but frequently enough to have childhood memories there.
That's really nice.
And have friends, that I remember from there. This guy, Adam, this other guy, Thomas.
Yeah, so I negotiated heavily. Actually, when he didn't want to come down in price, it was at, a big place that has vintage cars over in Orlando. It was Gateway, I think.
Yeah, Gateway. And
Gateway.
They take vintage automobiles on consignment.
Yeah.
Sure.
So there I was, getting out of my chair and leaving. No, I did.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
embarrassed.
He was embarrassed. He's like, oh my God.
How far did they let you get before they?
Oh, I didn't even hardly get out of my chair. They were like, oh no, let me go talk to my boss again. I'm like, okay, I'll sit back down, but I'm going to get up again. And they came in and gave me the price that I wanted.
Nice. They made it move. They made a deal.
Yeah.
So cool. Because I feel
yeah.
like this car is like part of you guys now, part of the identity.
It was, and we didn't expect that.
It's almost your daily driver now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we just got a new engine in it.
Yeah. I saw all
been.
that metastasizing over time, and it looks great. And
It's just totally reliable now.
Yeah.
Like any old car, it took, I don't know, a few months to kind of work out the bugs. Because whenever you buy something old, it's going to have issues.
That's right.
After we got those worked out and most recently got the new engine in it, I would drive that anywhere.
Who did the motor for you?
We bought it from Fisher Buggies over in Tampa.
Yeah, awesome.
And bought a long block over there and just had our favorite mechanic put it in, and it's been running great ever since.
Good stuff. Definitely a big shout out to Fisher Buggy. I love Tony and the whole squad over there. Good.
They
folks.
do a nice job.
They did my motor in my 72 Beetle in 97.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they were around back when I was in high school, and that was
Yeah.
in the 80s,
Yeah. Like
early
they,
80s.
they've been around a long time. So
Yeah.
I want to hear from your perspective because we also have a Karmann Ghia in our family. It's my wife's. It's a 71. So I can probably decently, I guess, describe this feeling, but I want to hear from your side. So each of you, I want to hear from each of you what it feels like to drive around the city in a 50-year-old car, you know, Karmann Ghia.
You don't get very far without someone stopping you or telling their own Volkswagen story. Everyone has a Volkswagen story. Everyone. Like, you really don't get very far. You'll be at a stoplight and somebody will roll their window down and go, "Oh my god, my cousin had that," or, drove around, everyone has a Volkswagen story.
Oh, they got a first date story.
Yeah,
There,
right.
there's
Yeah,
even an older couple here in St. Petersburg that still have the Volkswagen Beetle that they went on their honeymoon in.
that
It's
is
a white, I forget
perfect.
which year it is, but they still have it. And oh, talk about memories. That's
Yeah.
just awesome that they kept it for so long.
Yeah.
We've got a neighbor that has a 71 Karmann Ghia. She bought it brand new, and that's still her only car.
She lives down the street from us.
Yeah, I mean, what are the chances of that? She drives it every day. That's her only car.
That's her only car.
That's
And she's just,
so cool,
what? I've got no reason to get anything else.
right?
Yeah.
It's running. She can count on it. She probably
Hmm.
loves it. And now it's the coolest thing in the world to own,
Yes.
It
For
is.
I remember for
Very
a long
cool.
time through, 80s, 90s, even, late 90s, they weren't cool yet. It almost took this movement and, the community sticking around and customizing and even not even keeping them classic, but it took that community to kind of keep them rolling. And now it's like a staple and it's something cool to do, to invest in a classic Volkswagen and dub it out, make it yours, make it your own way, which I also noticed you guys are doing with the orange one.
Yeah, you're right, Joe, because I think all classic cars go through a little time period where they're just old cars.
That's right.
And that's unfortunate because that's where a lot of them go to die.
That's
And
right.
and it's what makes them rare. I think what really saved the Volkswagen more than anything was how customizable it is. Because even during that time when it kind of went through that dip of it's just an old car, you had dune buggies and rail buggies and people just doing all kinds of cool things with them because it's so easy to do something cool with it
Yeah.
and inexpensive too.
Yeah. You're right. I
Yes.
remember specifically having that car and working on it in the 90s, mid 90s, late 90s. My dad, used to say things like, "Oh, I can't believe you're parking that POS in my driveway," and
Ah,
that type of stuff. And I'm like, "Man, this is the coolest car in the world. What are you talking about?" And then if it ever needed anything, parts were literally were single dollar bills back then, like
yes.
they were nothing, and everything was a dime a dozen. You could find any parts anywhere. Now, I did struggle back in the day with finding parts for the auto clutch transmission.
Mm,
So my 72 that I had was a standard Beetle. I bought it in high school, and when the transmission started giving me issues, I had Fisher Buggy put the motor in it, and I was also entertaining, rebuilding that transmission. Back then, they couldn't find parts. Now they're readily available, but they couldn't find parts back then, so I had to switch it to a 4-speed. And, part of what makes the Karmann Ghia my wife has now so cool is that story I was able to tell her 20 something years ago about my first Volkswagen and how it was a stick shift, but it didn't have a clutch. And this whole time, our whole, marriage and relationship, she's always just kind of taken interest in that. So it was a stick, but no clutch. She's like, oh, so when we found this Karmann Ghia, one owner, 46,000 miles, auto stick, I was like, and
no
guess what?
way.
And it's the auto clutch. And she was like,
Oh,
that's the car, that's the one. So, man, and this thing drives so well and it's so dependable. It's, again, 40 something thousand miles, 47 now.
oh, it's
Uh,
beautiful. Yeah, we've seen it.
yeah, it's a great car. It's a great car. We got some stuff we're going to do to it this year. But all right, let's move forward to the 74 Beetle that you just got. What, that last year, or was that this year?
Last year.
Last year. Has
Yeah,
it been that long? Wow.
I saw it go for sale. I saw you go pick it up. I saw you bring it home. So kind of cool being in the same city. But tell me about this 74 build and what's the vision for it?
You know, it's kind of funny how that one came about too, because it's orange.
Yeah.
That was the only thing we needed to know. It's orange. and it's a friend of a friend. You know, we all know each other in the VW community. So I asked one of our buddies, like, hey, you know, this guy, you know, is he solid? And he goes like, oh yeah, he's a good guy. So we just went over and bought it because it's orange. And, you know, we love the Karmann Ghia. But the truth is, for an everyday driver, a Beetle is more practical. So the plan is that's going to truly be Pat's daily driver, like
Sweet.
every day. So we just put a new engine in that because it, you know, is getting kind of old. It was tired. So put a new engine in it. We plan next. It's lowered a little bit, put it back to stock height, just to make it a little bit more practical.
Sure.
Not that lowering them doesn't look cool, because they do, and our Ghia's lowered too. But put it back to stock height and add air conditioning at some point.
Wonderful.
Or not. I don't know. It's got those little quarter windows, and it's amazing how much cooler it is to ride in a car that's got those little wings to force air in, because the Karmann Ghia doesn't have that, as you know.
Yeah.
And riding around in that's a whole different experience.
We have in the car.
Yeah, we got a fan.
Yeah, Stephanie's heater channels are still connected and they operate like flawlessly. So in the summertime, even spring, to get in that car and drive it, you know, to Publix and back, you know, once the heat starts firing, I mean, I can do everything to try to shut it off, but it's either coming through the floor or it's coming through the windshield, and it's hot. So I actually, this year, I want to probably disconnect that and cap it, because in Florida, we don't need to be dumping heat into the cab, especially in the middle of summer.
No.
You can't drive that thing anywhere. But AC would be a great ad. It's so easy these days, right? To be able to do that. They make the kits, and
there's kits available that anybody could install themselves.
How many hours? 50 hours?
Well, with me doing it? Yeah, you know, there's real hours, and then there's project hours, which is kind of like dog years. You multiply it by 7, that's how long it's going to take in our garage.
That was great. That was great.
Project hours, long time.
Yeah.
So at this stage, did you guys expect to still be, you know, building, be, you know, wrenching, be driving, you know, a classic car?
Absolutely. And I know Pat too.
I'm never giving up. And I think, you know, the thing with that too is, I think when you get older, like, people want their comforts, you know? I don't want any comforts. I've always been very utilitarian. My other car is a 2011 Honda Element. I don't know if you know anything about Elements. There's no carpet. It's extremely utilitarian.
Yeah.
So I'm not a foo-foo girl. You know? I'm not. I'm very practical. And to me, the Volkswagen is just very practical. It's just a very practical car.
It's a good, practical car.
It is. And it looks really cool.
And everybody loves it.
Like, if you're driving and you see the sea of cars around, my car's gray, my 2011 Honda Element. I'm not going to say that, but you have gray, you have white, blue sometimes thrown in there, but you don't really have like something that stands out. No car color that stands out. Like, some of the vintage ones are coming back now, like the Chargers and things like that, with vintage colors. But, you know, you're driving down the road, you see like this orange thing out of the corner of your eye, you're going to be like, oh. So even the color to me is just so bright and fun. And
yeah. And one thing I've noticed, Joe, is that as I get older, I'm more resistant to discomfort.
Yes.
And I've talked to other older people about that. And that's something that seems to be a common thread, that as we age, discomfort doesn't bother us anymore.
Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. I completely lost track. But yeah. So speaking of discomfort, so you have to, you have to shift, you have to use the clutch, you have to engage, and you have to really think about what you're doing. You're not just driving along, in automatic. You really have to engage with the car. And I think that is really going to help my brain too, getting older. No, I really do. I think that, Donna, who lives down the street, she's 75, 70 something.
At least.
And that's the woman who owns the Karmann Ghia from day one. And hers is a stick shift. And
she's sharp as a tack, perfectly healthy.
And she's healthy. And yeah, so I don't know. Volkswagens keep you healthy.
Yeah, they're good for brain health.
Because you have to drive the car.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to be involved.
Yeah.
It's not a mindless activity.
Exactly. That's what I love.
I love that. And I'll tell you what I love a lot about driving either of them, either the 71 Ghia or my 74 thing, is a lot of times these little cell phones, oh, buddy, they can become a problem when you're driving in today's cars because you're checking emails, you're catching up, you might be trying to take a picture or post something while you're driving. You can't do that in an old Volkswagen because you got to drive the car. So
it's hard to even take a sip of a soda when you're in a Volkswagen.
Amen.
You're busy.
Right, though. Yeah, you're right. I know you guys have taken some unforgettable trips. I want to talk about one now because it's close to me. V-Dubs over the Skyway. Tell me what it felt like from a perspective of a participant. You guys were at the 25th anniversary, which was 2024, and you were at the last one. 2024, we had over 400 cars, which was unbelievable. And then just this last year, even after the storms, we still ended up with like 240, somewhere in that neck of the woods. But
amazing.
Describe for me what it feels like to drive in a convoy like that with that many classic Volkswagens.
Would you like to go first?
You can go.
Well, it was just so amazing to me to see so many Volkswagen enthusiasts. I had no idea there were that many around the area. Now, of course, some people traveled from pretty far to come to it because that was a huge event.
Right.
For people who aren't from this area, the Skyway Bridge is a huge, long bridge, and it's historic. It's beautiful. And just to see Volkswagens for as long as the eye can see, that was an amazing sight. And we were glad to be part of it. And we've enjoyed seeing it grow over the years because in time past, it wasn't really that big of an event. But since you started organizing it, I've really got to hand it to you and your people.
Yeah, Alan. And
I know you have a lot of people that you work with on that.
Yeah.
It's become a huge event and so well organized. It's organized. It's safe. It's just I can't say enough nice things about it.
Thank you. That's awesome. And yeah, Alan, huge help. I started asking around in the community because I found the Facebook page originally, VWs over the Skyway, and I noticed that there was no posts, maybe some spam related stuff, for about a half a year, but nothing. And I couldn't get anybody to respond. So when I first came back to St. Pete in 2022, one of the very first things I did was contact that group and say, hey, when are you guys running over the Skyway? I'd love to go. It was like 9 months or 10 months later, I got a response. It said, it's over. We're not doing it anymore. And at that point I had asked, I'd love to take it over and have this again. I know it was such a huge thing. The first year back was the 25th, annual ride. So yeah. Pat, I want to hear from you though. How's it feel from your perspective?
It was emotional, actually. I know that sounds weird, but it was really emotional to see just, friends and then, people you don't know, but then become friends. It's like you were talking about it being such a community of folk. And where we park down in Terracia, I don't know where it is.
Terracia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Down by the orange place.
Yeah, by the orange ice cream place.
Hey, more orange.
See, it's everywhere.
Yeah, buddy.
To go down there and just walking down the road there and just seeing all the Volkswagens and just seeing all our friends and taking the pictures of all of them and just being amazed by everybody just coming together and really enjoying the whole event. Just enjoying the whole
Yeah.
event. I mean,
And
it was just a
I've
miracle.
got to say, we've been involved with lots of different groups, professional
Yeah.
groups, different interests, but Volkswagen people are the friendliest people you could possibly meet. They're, the old saying, oh, there's always one in every group. There aren't any. I have not met
We haven't met
any of those, there's always one people in the Volkswagen community. Now, I'm sure, it must be, but it's the friendliest group of people I've ever seen, and such a wide range of all walks of life, all kinds of backgrounds. You could be talking to anybody and you never know what their background is, or you they might be famous or they might be flipping burgers. You never know. But every single one of them is friendly and they're all interesting.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And the relationship between Alan and myself started over, being Volkswagen enthusiasts and then turned into, what a great friendship and now a partnership where we're promoting events together. And it really
Yes.
is almost like a yin to the yang. He's very opposite of me in many ways, and I'm very opposite of him in many ways. And we accept that. And we actually value that in each other. He pings a lot of stuff off me. I ping a lot of stuff off him, and we come up with the right answer eventually. My perspective was same, a little bit emotional for me because, I didn't, especially the first year back for the 25th ride, there's no way I ever expected 400 plus cars. Come on. We expected
No.
50, 60, first year back. The registration just kept going and going. We're like, wow, this is getting crazy. When it got over 350, we were like, where are they going to go?
Yeah, look, whatever. Every Volkswagen in the state of Florida that runs is there.
I know it.
They're trailering it in.
It was really an awesome time. And, there's a lot of plans going into that one, and we'll continue to. We want to do more. We tried the night ride, in November of last year. I don't know if you guys remember that, but all the lights and, dressing all the cars up in lights.
No, ours wouldn't start.
Okay. So there was the night parade.
That's the chance you take.
It is. So with the night parade, we wanted to try to take a different approach, and we brought camping back because we had this nice piece of property where we could camp. Well, it was November. The storms were, October-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It was too close in proximity to the storms. A lot of people lost their cars in those storms and last year. So it really, I'm not going to say it flopped. It didn't. There was still probably 110 or so, cars for the car show, but camping wasn't as popular as we thought. But I guess my point was we're working to bring back some cool experiences for the Skyway show and to continue that tradition of doing that ride.
So glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I think everybody was tired of camping because having no power after the storms for a week or two.
I would have to
had enough camping.
Yeah. And that vibe just was completely, it wasn't there.
People were just recovering from the storms.
Exactly.
Because those were tragic and a lot of people lost everything.
I know it, man. I know it. Horrible time for this area. And,
yes.
And as a kid growing up here, I went to Bogey, graduated from Bogey in 95. I never in my whole childhood ever remember seeing so many downed trees as that second.
No.
This whole
all
city
facing
was
south.
Yeah.
All
Unreal. I couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't.
No.
We went to St. Augustine to evacuate, but when I came back a couple days, actually 5 or 6 days later, because we were waiting to get power, we still didn't have power. Coming back into the city, I'm blown away at all the downed trees, across the state, actually, whole at least center portion. But all right, I want to fast forward to the Pier Show because that was another one. And you guys, you helped us out. You set up as a vendor and kinda, but still the support was there, and that's thoughtful. That's thoughtful. We certainly appreciate it. I appreciate it. But that was a brand new one. And that was also one that we're trying to bring back, Alan, myself, and our new partner Chris. But what stood out most about this Pier show just a few weeks ago?
Well, it was historic because as far as I know, that was the first one ever, and that the city even allowed that to happen, because you know how it is dealing with City Hall.
Oh,
I couldn't believe that you were able to pull that off. And it, it was a lot like the Skyway in a way, because we had that little parade through the downtown waterfront. And then to be having this car show where it's surrounded on three sides by water, and it's just the most beautiful place. We're so lucky to live here.
amen.
And I just I could go on and on about what a great experience was. And yeah, it was a little hot out, but hey, it's Florida,
We had a fan.
what do you expect?
Yeah.
But there was plenty to eat and drink. They had great vendors, and of course, all our great friends.
It was extremely well organized.
Yes.
I loved how you guys organized this with the city and had, police, telling us where to go. There could never be like a mistake, it seemed to me. Like someone couldn't get off track. It was extremely, extremely organized. I mean, you probably know better than me about how well organized it was, but it felt like it was a very well-oiled machine.
Nice. We wanted you guys
Really?
to feel that way.
Yes, it totally was for us. It was a very good experience.
Good. That's going to be an annual thing. And
Good.
we're already working on 2026. It might be a month or two earlier just because it was too hot. The only complaint that we got was the heat, and it's not like we can do anything about that. But to talk
Yeah,
on,
what are you going to do?
yeah, what are you going to do? We live in paradise. One of the things we deal with is heat.
Mhm.
But to talk about the planning and involving the city, I don't know if anybody will understand the amount of hoops that Alan, myself, and Chris had to jump through and prepare and make an outline and create a map and just paint this picture for the city, and then for them to tell us, no, it ain't gonna work that way. All right, well, back to the drawing board. Can it work this way? Finally, we arrived many months in planning at what would work, and it worked. Now there's a couple of hiccups, and we'll make up for that next year.
Well, of course.
Yeah, on the way in, somebody broke down, so that caused this huge delay on the way in. And then when we got to the backside of Spa Beach Park, the cars were supposed to pull all the way around, all the way back up to the front of the entrance and start parking and filing in that way. And instead, when they got out there, they started seeing water on all sides. They're like, "Hey, my spot's right here."
I saw that.
Yeah, my
Uh-oh.
17-year-old son was like, keep coming, right? And they're like, nah, it's cool. I'm going to stay here. And he's trying to tell them, no, we have
Oh, no.
Yeah, you guys got to come on. And
I got to follow directions.
yeah, they didn't want to. So he was radioing saying, they're not listening to me. And they weren't, but it's okay.
Oh.
Next
All
year,
worked out though. I mean,
It
everyone
did.
got a spot and everybody was in a great spot.
it did.
Yeah.
It was great. It was.
Yeah.
And then to talk on that last thing, Chuck, that you had mentioned was, was it the first car show? So V-dubs on the pier used to be buses on the pier, Type 2s on the pier, Volkswagen Beetles on the pier, and Sven Kotor organized those back in the mid-90s up through early 2000s. When the new construction of the pier took place, they have not allowed a car show back on the pier since new construction. So yes, it was new. It was the inaugural, but it was also kind of reviving an old event they used to have. However, that was on the old pyramid, inverted pyramid design.
Right. And I remember the Corvettes out there. They did that every year.
That's right. And there were a lot of car shows and fun stuff back on the inverted pyramid model.
Yes.
Since this new one, they haven't really allowed a lot of energy. So, and we knocked it out of the park, by the way. As a Volkswagen community, we crushed it. So now the city's like, hey, yeah, we want to do this again. So that's going to be an annual thing, and that'll be awesome.
Well, that's
we're
great.
looking forward to it.
I don't know how you pulled it off, because I was thinking they're just going to be like, we don't want you out there leaking oil all over our place.
Yeah. Let me tell you how it got pulled off. Here's how it got pulled off. One person worked at the city who remembered Sven and remembered Volkswagen enthusiasts and their energy from the 90s. She's still there. And she said, we normally say no to car groups and to car shows and this type of stuff. But because I remember you guys, you were laid back, you were chill, you were cool. we're gonna go ahead and say yes. So the community is actually what won this thing. It wasn't
Wonderful.
it wasn't a single effort. It was a community, but yeah, good stuff. And we're excited about that one because those pictures that came out
Oh,
in the days to follow, being a photographer, that there was a couple people that captured them, but that guy Paul Cunningham, oh man,
oh, his shots were amazing.
they were amazing, man.
I just loved going online every day, and there'd be a few more and a few more and a few
Me
more.
too, man. Me
It
too.
seemed like for weeks people were posting great photos.
Yeah, it was a big smiling moment for Alan, myself, and Chris for several weeks. It still is because those
Good.
pictures will live forever. And I mean, hey man, I love the city of St. Pete. I'm born and raised here. My dad
Mhm.
born and raised here. My kids, born. Now we did leave for a little while, and I went out to Colorado, but this has always been home, and it always will be.
Same with him.
Yeah, I've never lived anywhere else.
Never lived anywhere else. Yeah, my dad's
Wow.
the same way. My dad was born here in '46, graduated from Bogey,
Mhm.
and he's been set up as J Person and Company since I'd say '64.
Yeah, I mean he's a local institution.
Yeah, yeah, and
Right.
antiques and jewelry and estates.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the orange theme. Just again, strangers on the street. We kind of touched on this a little bit
Mhm.
because they always have a story. They always tell us something. But what's the craziest reaction you've had from somebody because of the color orange?
The color orange. It, it's amazing how many people come up and by the way, for anybody that's listening, if you're thinking about buying a Volkswagen, if you don't like talking to people, do not buy a Volkswagen. Big mistake, because everybody wants to come up and talk. But it was amazing to me how many people will come up, and of course they've got a Volkswagen story because everybody does.
That's
They're
right.
like, oh my God, orange is my favorite color. And
What?
I would have never known.
Yeah.
Now, the color orange was kind of given to us because the Next Home is a franchise. They had all that set up, and orange is the official color, so we bought into that.
Yeah,
But we like it, so we're going to stand behind it. And
very suiting.
it's turned into a whole thing. Pat has a Facebook group, which I'd encourage your listeners to join, Orangeaholics. And all it is stuff that happens to be orange. And
What a cool
but
thing to do, right?
we got the idea from, there's a young lady here in St. Petersburg that owns a hauling business called Hot Mama's Hauling. And
She's a demolition.
she's also a licensed demolition contractor.
Oh, she's amazing.
So we were having breakfast with her, and pink is her color, and we were talking about branding. And she told us about Pinkaholics. So right there at the table, Pat started Orangeaholics. And
Right in Copper Kitchen.
I got to admit, I was like,
Love the Copper Kitchen.
I'm thinking to myself, like, that is so stupid. Nobody's going to go to that.
Oh my God.
And it exploded.
Yeah, I
People
signed up
send
for it
us
right away.
pictures of stuff just because it's orange.
Yeah, so cool, man. So cool.
Yeah.
And what I like more about it than anything is it's organic and it's you.
Yeah.
And those are the most successful things in life, are the things that you can't really explain. You just do them because you feel them. And then,
Yes.
it ends up happening. So good for you guys.
Well, it's got to be something genuine.
Yeah.
People talk a lot about branding, but branding, it has to be consistent with who you are, or it's not going to come across. It's just going to be disingenuous, just like everybody else out there.
Yeah, good call. So the local scene here, like you were saying, huge, probably
Yes.
bigger than most people anticipate or even expect. What do you think makes the scene here in the Tampa Bay area for Volkswagens, so special?
I think
Well,
it's because we really care about each other. And
Yeah.
not just here. It's Volkswagens all over the country.
And I
It's really
think
a community.
Volkswagens attract a certain kind of person, because in order to own particularly a Volkswagen, you have to be patient. You have to be a hands-on person. You have to be somebody who is willing to put up with some inconveniences here and there.
Right. You're
And
going to break down.
those are people that have good character, because every one of those is a good character trait, and it attracts people with good character.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's true.
And it's true. It's very true. What else?
Well, one thing I've noticed is that everybody in the group, in the whole community, everybody's trustworthy. And and I don't use that word lightly. These are people who honestly care. If you have a problem, a total stranger will offer to help. And that's something that you don't see in a lot of communities where, and everybody's always like, oh, well, if you need anything, it's not like that in the Volkswagen community. It's like, no, I'm on my way.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Really though, too. I've experienced that myself.
Mm-hmm.
And even when have a couple extra parts or in need of a couple extra parts, all you gotta do is just put a little post up and you better watch out because they're gonna be
Yes.
they're gonna be flying by your house. It's almost like a race to see who can help somebody the fastest.
It's true. And even on our Beetle, there was a piece missing. The little lever thing that holds the quarter window closed.
Yeah.
Is missing on one side. So guy's like, hey, noticed you were missing this. Here.
He had it for 25 years, that little piece.
It was in his toolbox for 25 years.
Come on, dude.
Because you don't throw away Volkswagen parts.
That's just
that would be sacrilege.
Yeah, how cool is that though?
Until he ran across us and we needed it and he had it.
But the Volkswagen community to me is, I don't know, it's like no other. So just as a little side thing here, someone in the Volkswagen community passed away out of state and he was in his thing.
Oh, do we have time for that story?
Do we have time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of our friends in the Volkswagen group, in the local Volks here, and I think you know him, he had a dream to drive his Volkswagen thing across country. So after lots of planning and preparation, he drove his Volkswagen thing from here in Pinellas County, Florida, all the way across country to, do you remember the park? It
wasn't Yellowstone. It was something like that.
One of those giant national parks all the way over on the other side of the country.
It was in Montana.
And he made it trip of a lifetime, camping along the way, really fulfilled a dream of his.
A bucket list type thing.
A fairly young man, good health. Tragically, he passed totally unexpectedly, had a medical event that took his life while he was camping after meeting his destination of driving across the country. And Pat, I'll let you take it from there.
So the sister called, we were all crying because we knew him personally.
It was tragic.
He was such a great guy and he was only like 50 or something years old. He was young. And they had to get his thing from Montana to Pinellas County back home.
That's right.
And I joined the Montana Volkswagen Community Facebook group. And I started reaching out to some people out there. And this one guy reached out to me and we just communicated. And through like a chain, we were able to get the sister in touch with somebody through various channels, phone calls and things. And they went to the park and they got his Volkswagen and they took it to they had a big house with, acres of land and no charge for any of this, by the way. I'm getting chills just even talking about it. And just took the Volkswagen to where his house was and covered it up and left it there. And also then helped her arrange for not a towing.
A transport.
But somebody that they knew very well out there, and put it on the transport. And she felt it was just a very comfortable, safe, loving transaction. And I don't even want to call it a transaction because it was just so much more than that.
Well, they became friends.
Yeah. And it was like, I still belong to the Montana Volkswagen group. I don't know when I'm going to Montana next.
Yeah.
That's the community, though. Everyone thinks it's just the community here, like in Pinellas or Pasco or Manatee or wherever, or just Florida, Florida Volkswagens. And it's really not. It's a nationwide and worldwide community.
And I think the people in Montana understood that that car is so important to his family because, like all of us Volkswagen owners, a Volkswagen's part of who we are. It's an important part of our life. It's kind of an extension of us to some extent. So they understood the importance of making sure that that Volkswagen thing made it back home safely into the hands of his family.
It's probably one of those things too that it's like you don't even have to use words.
No.
You lay a scenario out for a bunch of Volkswagen enthusiasts like that. It really doesn't matter where they are in the world, and they're going to congregate and they're going to figure it out. Like you said, you have to have a little bit of grit, determination, patience, mechanical ability. All of those things have to come along with owning one of these cars. And, whether you choose to work on them yourself or pay somebody else to do it doesn't really matter. The point is,
No.
it is that community. And again, I'm so happy to hear that story. I didn't know that happened and how his car, got back here or whatever. So
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's a very powerful story.
It is a powerful story, and he was a dear friend. And now that car is safely in the hands of his family, where it's going to stay forever
Good.
as a great way to honor his memory.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I saw recently, even just in the last couple of days, that Oval Joe,
Yes.
saw a medical episode or something happened there too. Yeah, it's really unfortunate when some of the old heads, as we call them, the guys that have been around for a long time, obviously death's the inevitable, but it's just really sad to see, when it happens inside of our community. But what's really positive and what I can say is to see how everybody comes together is really like, look, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it.
Yep.
I know for sure, that Quaker Steak and Lube show. I mean, there was 100 cars there every time I went.
Yes, it was huge.
Yeah, that's not just gonna fall. Like, someone's gonna
Someone will step up.
Yeah, someone's gonna stand in and step up, and it's gonna be in honor of Oval Joe, and that's gonna be so cool. That's gonna be so cool.
That's right.
And again,
there's a moral in all that too, where, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. So get out and drive your Volkswagen.
Yeah. I had a guy on the podcast recently. I asked for advice at the very end. Any last words for the Volkswagen community? And he said, get out and touch grass. And then I kind of sat there for a second, let him elaborate. He said, get off your phone, get up from your desk, go outside and touch the grass. And I just thought that was so awesome, because in a busy world like we live in, with all the stuff going on and wars and bombs, and that you don't really ever think to stop and smell the roses type mindset. And that's really what that, go touch the grass is. It's like, yeah, dude, these things control us, but I'm not going to complain, because I'm also a fan of the technology.
Well, they're wonderful tools.
They're wonderful tools. They've automated and allowed us to streamline. And, I swear, as bad as of a negative thing that you can add to the technology and the curse that's come with it, there's also the flip side of it and the positives and all the pros. My kids have learned a lot from YouTube. Way more than I did when I was their age. I didn't have that. I had to go out and bust my knuckles up and learn the hard way. They're like, yeah, Dad, did you know you can fast forward that video and watch it in a faster speed? I'm like, man, these kids. Yeah, it's funny, but it's true.
Yes.
And so I'm more of the embracer than I am the challenger or the fighter of technology. Do I feel we all need a break from our phones and stuff every now and then? Sure, I do. But I'm not going to hate on it, because, technology, I'm not I'm not afraid of it. I think it is the way of the world, and you either adapt or you get left behind.
Well, I think it's like anything else. It's totally benign. It's not good. It's not evil. It's how you use it. It can be used for good or evil.
That's right.
And it's up to you to use it to the best of your ability to benefit yourself and hopefully mankind.
And that's why I love the Volkswagens, the simplicity of it.
Yes.
There's no technology at all.
Comes right back around.
There's no navigation. There's none of that. Yeah.
No.
There is on your phone, but that's okay.
That's okay.
So, Chuck, you've said in the past that the VW lifestyle is about friendship and it's about storytelling. Why do you think these cars create such a connection with people? Because, I mean, we're here talking about this amazing connection that from Montana to, this podcast is actually viewed in like 34 countries at this point. So, gosh, I mean, that's crazy. Why do you think these cars create such a connection?
Well, I think it's that they're so recognizable. There's never been a car that in history that has stayed as much the same through its entire life, from the very first Volkswagens made in 1930s all the way up to our 1974 and beyond. They're very identifiable. You know that's a Volkswagen Beetle, and every Volkswagen is recognizable. You know, other classic cars, they're awesome too, but there are also many others like them.
Yeah,
So that's my theory, is that they're so recognizable that they really stick in people's memory. And everybody has a happy memory, Volkswagen. It's always, I had my first date in that, or we went on our honeymoon, or, got my first kiss.
Yeah. It's so funny because you're so right. And I hear that all the time too.
Yes.
You guys saw recently the Bay News 9 little cover story they did on the Pier show. Did you see when the two news anchors were going to bring in the story and start talking about it? They both had Volkswagen stories.
There you go.
The one news anchor talked about, our family had a Beetle, and I remember one time packing our 6 cousins in it and going somewhere. And then the other one said, "Oh, I remember ours for the ladybug floor mats." But my point was, to your point, everybody's got a Volkswagen story. Even our local news anchors could attach themselves to, what was about to go down in this city. So just so cool.
And not only that, even a child knows. How many times, I'm sure you see it all the time too. How many times do you drive down the street and some 3-year-old girl rolls down her window and gives you a thumbs up? I mean,
all the time.
It feels great, doesn't it?
You said it. You can't be somebody that doesn't, want attention, because you're going to get it. You're going to have to tell stories. You're going to have to give thumbs up back. You're going to have to be friendly in these cars, period.
How can you not be smiling if every time you go out driving around, people are giving you a thumbs up and beeping their horns at you, and
or if they're smiling,
pictures of you?
Yeah, smiles are contagious. While we were filming the Bay News 9 thing, this guy had walked by on the sidewalk and asked Raphael if he could get in his car and take a picture. And we're sitting here with the news guy and we're telling him, yeah, man, everybody's got a Volkswagen story. And, and as we're telling them,
there you go.
It's happening right behind us. And it's just crazy. Yeah.
And people are so happy when you're like, oh, get in, I'll take a picture of you.
Yeah.
What a great way to spread joy.
Yeah. Happiest car in the world.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun.
That never happened with our old truck.
No.
Pat, anything else from you on why these cars create such a connection?
It's a very, very fun car. It's just a lot of fun. And like you said before, it's just a connection, and people just love them. They have so many memories and they just adore it.
So I've got a good question for you both, and it doesn't matter who answers it first. What's something about the VW scene that has completely surprised you?
So we're at Twisty Treat.
Oh, no.
I know where this is headed.
Twisty Treat over on the beach on Gulf Boulevard.
Yeah, St. Pete Beach.
Okay. And we had our Karmann Ghia.
Yeah, we're driving our Karmann Ghia.
Yeah, I forgot. That's right. We had our Karmann Ghia with us. I was wondering how that guy would know us. And so this guy, we got our ice cream and we were, just sitting there, and the guy says, "Oh, are you going to join the local Volkswagen community?" And we're like, we didn't actually know about
We
local
didn't know
Volks.
there was one
We
at
didn't
that
even know at that time.
Because we were new to the Volkswagen.
Yeah, we had just gotten it.
Yeah.
And so what did he say?
But he's like, yeah, I used to have a Volkswagen. I used to go to that group until it got taken over by the Puerto Ricans. And I'm like, what?
What?
And I was just like, okay, this guy's crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah. And I mean,
it was crazy.
Not that I really think of our friends in categories like that. But I was like, well, some of the nicest guys happen to be from there.
Right.
But that was really a shock to me that someone would equate that.
But he didn't have a Volkswagen anymore.
No.
And I was like, ha ha.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, get out of our scene, buddy. Yeah.
He got weeded out. That's an interesting thing too, Joe, is that the Volkswagen community is self-weeding. People who have the wrong attitude are not going to fit in. They're not going to feel comfortable, and they're just going to go away. It's totally self-supporting that way.
What a cool topic that came off of something that completely surprised you.
Yes.
Chuck, anything from your side?
Anything that surprised you?
All right, this is going to sound terrible, but
another terrible one.
I mean, everywhere I go, I find somebody I don't like. You're bound to. There's going to be somebody. But I can honestly tell you, I have not found one single person in the Volkswagen community that I dislike.
Wow.
And that's amazing to me, because you get
huge.
So many different kinds of people. You're bound to not click with somebody, but not with Volkswagens.
This shared passion now for the two of you, how has the Volkswagen passion brought you guys closer as a couple?
Well, it's just one more thing that we can do together, enjoy together, be passionate about together. Because one thing that some of your listeners may not know is that we're not just husband and wife, but we work together too. We're in the same profession, and we're husband and wife real estate team. So we're together all day, every day, most days. And that works great for us. And
we love it. Yeah.
It just gives us one more fun thing to do together that we can both enjoy.
And it gets us out of the house.
Yes.
Because, here we are in the house, and my desk is over there and his is here. And so we're in our office, and we're in our office a lot. Of course, we're out showing homes a lot too, but, there's a lot of office work. And so it really just gets us out of the house, and it's kind of freeing, getting in the car and just going, and the windows are down. Yes, it might be a little hot, but it is very freeing.
And
we just take a ride over the Skyway sometimes and go to that little beach that's right there.
Oh yeah.
Over the Skyway. We just liked doing that.
I didn't think of that, but you're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just, hey, let's take a break and go for a little ride.
Yeah.
And just
drive
feeling downtown or drive out to the beach.
I can relate to that feeling.
Get some fresh air and get that fresh air, and gives you a whole new perspective on life.
It does. Somebody on one of the last couple episodes I had said, if you're in a bad mood, that's all you got to do is just go get in your dub and start driving, because
there you go.
It ain't gonna be but 2 traffic lights up the road before you get some thumbs up and some smiles, and your mood will completely change.
Yeah, who doesn't need that kind of affirmation in their life?
That's right, man. That's right. All right, I got some rapid fire questions for you guys. Now, you answer them, individually as well, but I want fast, quick answers for the next several questions. All right.
All right.
All right. If you had to choose one for the rest of your life, air cooled or water cooled?
Air cooled.
Air cooled.
Oh yeah.
Pat, same for you.
Oh yeah. Right. Oh yeah.
All right. If we're gonna take a ride in Florida, are we gonna take a ride with no brakes, or are we gonna take a ride with no wipers during a Florida thunderstorm?
No wipers.
No wipers.
Yeah, we need brakes, right? We can deal with the no wipers.
Especially around here.
I still carry towels, and I'm always having to wipe my windows down. You guys know all about it. All right, favorite.
You don't need to see, but you do need to stop.
You do. Favorite era of VW advertising?
70s.
Oh, it's got to be those classics.
Yeah, the classics.
I remember going to school for advertising. I'm sure people still study those.
Amen. They're actually art now.
Truly.
Yes. You can buy the old books and the old pages, the old magazine inserts, and they're art. The whole think small and all that stuff. It's amazing what they to accomplish.
60s and 70s.
Those were very iconic and a real turning point in advertising.
Yeah. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Money, no object for either of you. One VW model or car that you
Mine's already picked out.
Own. Yours is
I already have mine picked out.
Is it sitting in the driveway?
No.
Oh, no. Oh,
so we go to Craft Cafe a lot. I go there a lot because I'm gluten-free.
Okay.
And there's a guy there. His name is Bill, an older guy. He's got this fabulous, it's a double cab,
Yeah.
correct?
Ooh.
Yeah,
It's flawless.
it's flawless. It's like, oh,
60s or 70s bay window?
60,
60s.
60s.
So it's a
Oh,
split.
And it's never been restored. It's been maintained.
It's just fabulous.
Oh, I bet it is.
It's like so sweet. So I'm first on his list
Okay.
for selling it. Like, and I don't know where I'll get the money, but
We'll figure that out.
I was about to say,
I need more listings.
opportunities like that come, you got to just figure it out because
I need a buyer, whatever.
Yeah.
all right.
We'll figure that out.
Because oh my God, that double cab is just.
So
Yeah.
a split bus double cab is money no object, one that you would like. How about you?
Yeah. Not just any, but that's
No, but that
particular one
particular
that
one.
Bill has.
Yeah.
Okay.
A split window bus.
Split window bus. All right.
Yeah.
Most overrated VW of all time. Most overrated.
I was afraid you were going to ask that. And, I kind of come from the school of thought if it's running and you're enjoying driving it, it's great.
Yeah.
I used to be involved in motorcycles a lot, and I never got into that brand thing for the same reason. It's like, hey, if it runs and you're having fun, it's awesome.
Anything else?
I'm not against Super Beetles.
Me either.
Not either.
Yeah.
No.
I like them,
Not
actually.
against any of them.
They're awesome
They're all
too.
great.
Yeah, I like a lot of them.
And one thing that I do like about some of the later model classic Volkswagens is that they're a little bit more usable in today's traffic.
Yeah, they started adding things that made sense
They
for
stop
drivers.
good. They have enough power,
Yeah.
and mostly they stop better.
Mm.
In today's traffic, with the way it's gotten here in Florida, that's a consideration if you want to actually use it a lot. And we like to use ours a lot.
I know, and I see you guys using it a lot, and that's fantastic. That's why I'm glad we're connecting. We use ours a lot too. I
know. I see you out there putting out real estate signs.
was just gonna say I look for reasons just to
your
go
wife's in the business that we're in, and
Yeah.
you're out there putting signs out. And
I do
love
it.
that. It's great.
I do it. I go throw our signs up for open houses
Mhm.
every weekend. It's a reason for me to drop the top, fold the windshield down, and go hang out, man.
Nice.
I know.
I take my speaker and I enjoy it. I do. I love it, just like you guys do. Who's the better driver, Chuck or Pat?
I would say him.
Well, better or safer?
Is there such thing?
Now, Pat being from New York City,
Oh God.
if you need to get through traffic quickly, she's your girl. But if you need to get there in one piece, I'm your guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, actually, we're both very good drivers.
We are actually.
We're both very safe, very careful, and
Yeah.
Something about a big
courteous.
city. Big cities teach you how to drive well.
Yes.
Like you drive in Manhattan, you know how to drive like a cab driver.
I'm about to say,
Yeah.
growing up in a big city, if you can learn how to drive in New York and you can hang with the best of them and not wreck,
Yeah.
you're
Right.
going to come down here and be like freaking Mario Andretti on our streets.
Oh, and Pat can parallel park. Woo.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I
that's
bet.
I mean, I was like, there's no way you're fitting in there. And she's like, oh, yeah, I will. I can't believe you got in there.
VW theme song.
Radar Love for me.
Gary Newman, Cars, comes to mind first.
Cool song, both of you. Good stuff, good vibe. You guys are a couple. You're into Volkswagens. You understand. We've talked about the vibe this whole time. What would you say to a couple that might be thinking about getting into the VW lifestyle together? What kind of advice would you give them about maybe buying their first classic Volkswagen?
My advice would be, don't buy a project. Get one that's in fairly good condition to start with, because that way you can start enjoying it right away. I've seen so many people that buy a project, it ends up sitting in the garage for years, and then they end up selling it because
Or it just rots away.
been sitting in the garage for years.
Yeah.
So buy one that's in fairly good condition that you can use. They're not expensive at all.
No.
And then together, work on it and clean it up and make it better over time. And I think that, having some adversity together really strengthens a relationship. So, you're going to get broke down somewhere. It's just going to happen. If you're driving a 50-year-old or more vehicle, it's going to break down someday. Now, that's not to say that they're not reliable, because they are very reliable, but it's going to happen. And I think for us, when we have little inconveniences like that, it kind of gives us an opportunity to strengthen our relationship.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is
Awesome.
also for them to join like local Volks or Montana Volkswagen community, wherever they live.
Or
Yeah,
salty
make
dubbers.
friends with
To
other
make
people.
friends with other people, and it'll be a learning experience for them, in terms of, where to get a part, where to get a good engine, who's a good mechanic. I
Yeah.
mean, just to kind of get that feeling of camaraderie and helpfulness. And I think that's really important too. Like, we were so grateful that we joined the local Volks community here.
Well, our latest new engine was a good example
That's
where we just happened to mention to one of the guys in the group, like, yeah, the Beetle's getting to be needing a new engine pretty soon. He was like, hey, the guy that built my engine, he's a friend of mine. He does it on the side, and so it's a friend of a friend. We trust our friend. He trusts him. So he gets trust by extension.
Right.
And it was awesome. And we made a new friend in the process.
right.
Lovely. That's what the community truly, that's what I feel it's all about. Good
Yeah.
advice, though. Good advice. I think that's sound. Somebody new getting into these cars, you want them to have kind of a good taste,
Yes.
because you're right. We do deal with a little bit of pushback and adversity from these cars at times, but you're
Mhm.
also right. They are dependable. I would get in my thing right now and I would drive it anywhere. I mean, it's probably going to fail on me, but I trust it and I would. The Karmann Ghia, I'm not like even exaggerating. I would get in that car and drive it tomorrow to Colorado. It
Oh,
runs,
I would do the same.
it runs
I'd
like
drive
the
it
top.
to California.
Yeah, it runs so well and it's so quiet and just, yeah, man, it's a great car.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't like owning stuff that I can't rely on.
yeah, me either. And like you said, you got to have a little bit of patience, but
Sure.
great advice. Great advice. I'm interested to hear what's coming up next for you guys. Any plans in the community? Any rides or anything you're going to? Any plans for
But
Volkswagen?
when it gets cooler, we've had barbecues at our house, and everyone from local Volks is invited. Like, even if we don't know them that well, we don't care.
We don't have to know them at all.
We don't have to know them at all, really.
Yeah, it's how you get to know them, right?
Right,
Yes.
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
we like to have the barbecue at our house, and it's so cool to see like all the Volkswagens,
Yeah, I think
lined up.
we had 40 some odd Volkswagens last time lined up around the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a
The-
lot
Wasn't
of.
that was that your birthday?
No, that was just
Well, we had a
Volkswagen
few from that because, of course, many of our friends do have Volkswagens.
Right.
But sometimes we have one that's just strictly for our Volkswagen community.
Yeah,
And
Sweet.
just if you're in the Volkswagen community, come over and have a burger with us.
right.
Yeah.
And
You,
those are
you
really
like
awesome.
to cook, Chuck? Do you cook?
Yeah, we both do.
I love to
We
cook,
both enjoy it.
and I like grilling.
Mhm.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
a man
I
of the
like.
grill, though.
I think one of my favorite things is probably smoking meats.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm into all types of smoked meats. I spent some good time in Texas. I teach a sales class out in Texas, so I spent some good time out there, and there's
Mhm.
no barbecue in the world like Texas barbecue.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it is just that's top-notch stuff. But tell me this, how can people find you guys if they want to connect with you? Give me your shout out to your Facebook and your Instagram and your business, your website. Like, how can people find you?
all right. Well, we're both on Facebook. Pat Vosburgh, Chuck Vosburgh, and I'm sure it'll be in the show notes how to spell it. And if you wanted to email either one of us, it's simple. Pat@chuckandpat.homes. There's no .com after it, just .homes, or Chuck@chuckandpat.homes. So those are the easiest ways to get hold of us. We're any social media, we're there. It's easy to find us.
We answer our phones.
And we answer our phone.
My phone number is 813-220-4898.
And 727-743-1740.
In a wonderful voice as well. I love it. I love it. All right, last thing I'll have you guys answer. And this is probably one that you had to think about, because I had to think about it when I was crafting it for you. But if you had to describe your VW journey thus far in one word each, what would that be?
Fun.
Fun. Adventurous.
Adventurous.
Good one.
Yeah, it is a good
Yeah.
one.
Adventurous.
Oh,
Because it's always an adventure.
It
do
is.
you guys have Instagrams for your car?
No, but
Okay.
it's funny you mention that because that has crossed my
And
mind.
that's a wrap for this episode of Dub Life Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at Dub Life Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. dublifediaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.